it's hard to find lighting in my house that looks good and has like an appropriate backdrop. So we'll see how this goes. Today I wanted to talk about seeds and seed catalogs and that kind of thing. Before we lived here, we lived in a little town of like 60,000, same general area. It's only about 15 minutes away from here. But it was in town, and when we got pregnant with our oldest daughter, our mindset changed a little bit, and we got a little stressed out about the future. We wanted to make sure we could feed this child that was coming into our lives, and that was when I started gardening. And about that time, I found this book. I was raised on 12 acres, about half an hour from here, and I was 9 when I got my first bum lamb. I was 11 when I got my first milk goat and raised it, and from there we just kind of ballooned out. So growing up, and even in my 20s, I probably have spent 4 years of my total life since I was 9 that I didn't live on a homestead. While I was at college, I didn't have goats or anything, but I did take botany classes and that kind of thing, just to be around the animals. And then let's see, and then just before I got married, so the only time I haven't been on a homestead has been when I was at college. The rest of my life I've always had homestead animals. But when we lived in the little town where we lived in the city, I was struggling, trying to figure out, well, how can I do this? I have a backyard. That's all I have. So when I found this, I just absorbed it. And I planted 2 peach trees, 2 apricot trees, a cherry tree. That was a Lapins cherry, and it does produce, and this is a zone 4. The peach trees were seedlings. They were not grafted, and they were seedlings from a tree that was in the same town. And it's been 4 years since I planted them, and they are prolific. They have lovely, lovely peaches. Go wash. Go wash. She's outside. So I went to my old house and actually went and got cherry and peach pits that I have now planted on my property, and I'm hoping that they turn out as nice as the ones that I planted at our old house. But I had grapes and honeyberries and elderberries, aronias, strawberries, all sorts of perennials. And then we had chickens, meat rabbits, ducks, and 2 goats, 2 milk goats, because in our covenants it said that we could have any number of animals or poultry that was under 50 pounds. So I found a Nigerian dwarf, and so we had milk too. And it kind of drove my husband nuts that we had all this stuff in such a small space. So he insisted that we moved, and that's why we're here now. What was I going to say about that? Totally lost my train of thought. Oh, so but I did make some videos of when we lived and had our little backyard homestead. And that's at Mars Julie, MarsJuli, and it's on YouTube. And those are videos of our little homestead, and it worked. So, of course, since I had a smaller space, I focused more on gardening. And if you want to know about gardening companies or nurseries, the place you go is Dave's Garden. Dave's Garden. And they have places where customers can review plant nurseries and stuff like that to say whether or not they were successful. And so I love that resource. I love it to death. And in all my years of gardening, so it's been 8 years now, my favorite is Territorial Seeds, and they're in Oregon. Everything I've ever grown from them has just taken off, and so when I buy seeds, I buy them from them, and I buy them in bulk. So I'm talking like 1 or 2 pound bags of peas or beans or whatever. And so I get all my vegetable seeds from them. If I can't find it in Territorial, then I look for it in Seed Savers. I really like Seed Savers. And they're really cheap and good quality. I don't love them as much as Territorial, but I do love them. And for trees, I go to Cold Creek Stream or Cold Stream Creek. they're a bulk tree company, and most of it would be kind of wild crafting type trees like mulberries and Manchurian apricots and stuff like that. But it's an excellent company, and they stand behind their warranty. I only ever lost one tree, and that was a bayberry, and that I just really struggled with bayberry. I've never been able to successfully keep it alive. But and then Journey to Forever is a really good site for old gardening techniques and things like that. But you guys had some questions about how I use my little notebook. I save anything like this, tags or blurbs out of seed catalogs, and then I tape them to a piece of cardstock or a piece of paper, but I only tape one side. And that way I just lift up the flap under that plant. Can you see that? I lift the flap and I write my description of what I thought of it under here. So under Malabar spinach, I wrote, came up later in fall really well, produced better than regular spinach. And so that's how I save space on that. So I can put lots on one page, but then their descriptions are underneath under the flaps. So that's what I do with my seeds. I also do that with products, like fertilizers and stuff. The other things I put in are, on cardstock, I put the months of the year and what I do in that month. And then I have layout that has sketches that I've done of what I want the property to look like when it's done and where I want to plant things this year. A spot for blank paper, a spot for animals, a spot for journaling, and then a spot for structures that I'm going to be building. This was something from journeytoforever.org, and it's how to make what Common Sense Compost Making by Mae E. Bruce. And it's under Farm Libraries, and it's something you can just print out, and it's about how to make compost in 3 weeks. You use a homeopathic solution of different herbs and weeds and a little bit of honey. And it's a homeopathic solution. You just inoculate your compost pile. You can inoculate straw with it, and it works. Or just pure manure, as long as it's in a tub. So that's a really fun site. And then I have a tab for skills like bread making or something else like recipes. So that's what I have done with my notebook. And like February, I list the things I can do, but since I can't really be out gardening, I can start herbs. Herbs take a lot more time than most things. The seeds are really small and it takes them a long time to mature. But I think that was it. Dave's Garden, Journey to Forever, and don't get discouraged if you don't have a lot of space. You can do a lot with a little space. And anyway, there we go.